Hi everybody, I'm Ron Strong and welcome back to the studio. Today I'm very excited to share with you my newest crochet project, the Brioche blanket. So pretty. Now, if you have never seen brioche knitting, looks a lot like this. Brioche knitting is just kind of like a really fancy way of saying knitting that's double-sided and super squishy. It's a lot more involved than that, but that's kind of what we're going with right now. So this is the first side. You can see we got these white lines that look like knit stitches, and then we got the purple kind of in between that look like purl stitches. So very knitting focused. This is one of those patterns that if you love crochet but you like the look of knitting, definitely try this. And then the reverse side is the same thing, except the purple becomes a dominant color. And again, the purple, it's kind of hard to see, but it does make these knit stitches. And in between, you got the cream color, which make up the purl stitches. Super fuzzy, super cozy, super thick, squishy, all the wonderful things that we want out of a blanket. So this is constructed side to side, which is one of my favorite ways to make crochet blankets. And I'm going to show you how to work this particular stitch pattern from start to end. Now, if you want the specific pattern to make this exact blanket, I'll make sure to link it down below. You just have to subscribe to my Substack. It's like $5 a month, and you get all the patterns that I release on a monthly basis, which is a lot. And or you can purchase the yarn kit from Lion Brand, where you'll get all the yarn that you need to make this. The yarn that I used in this blanket, there's two of them. One is Wool Ease Air, which is a new yarn from Lion Brand that I'm absolutely obsessed with. It's kind of like a mohair-ish yarn. And the other one is our tried and true, lovely, amazing yarn, which is Woolies. They're two different weights. Technically, Woolies Air is categorized as a super bulky, but it plays like a worsted, and Woolies is a worsted. So I am going to talk a little bit about that in the tutorial today, so keep that in mind. So anyway, let's get into the tutorial for the brioche crochet stitch. So as I said in my introduction, we're going to be using two yarns. When you're doing the brioche crochet stitch, you'll be using two different yarns for the reverse color look, where you want one side to be one color and the other side to be another color. For this particular pattern, I used Woolie's Air, which is this really cool fuzzy yarn, and then I used Woolies for the other side. Now these are classified as two different weights. This is a worsted, this is a super bulky. Now, as we all know, yarn weights can vary kind of for a lot of reasons. The reason that Woolie's Air is listed as a super bulky is because it's so fluffy. So don't look at the string down the middle, but look at the fluff surrounding it. That's what's making it super bulky. So as we're actually crocheting it, we're going to use a really big hook. So this pattern uses an 8mm L hook, and we're going to be using that throughout, and we're going to crochet quite loosely. So keep that in mind. Whenever we're using two different weight yarns, we always want to crochet loosely. We don't want to be a tight crocheter. So oftentimes that means going up a hook size or a few hook sizes. I'm going to use the hook size that's recommended for the larger of the two yarns. So I'm going to be working with the super bulky yarn. So 8mm hook. So keep that in mind as we're working through this, all right? To begin, we're going to create a foundation using half double crochet foundation stitches. To do that, we're going to place a slip knot on our hook. We're going to chain 2. Then we're going to yarn over and insert our hook into the very first stitch we made. We're going to yarn over and pull through, yarn over, pull through 1, yarn over, pull through 3. So what we're doing with foundation stitches like that is that we created a half double crochet stitch and a chain stitch. So our chain stitch is down here, and that's our half double crochet stitch, right? So we yarn over, we insert our hook into that chain stitch at the bottom, we pull up a loop, then we yarn over, pull through one, making sure not to pull through all three. So it should look like that. Then we yarn over, pull through three. We'll do that again, yarn over, insert your hook. And you can see how I'm going right into that chain stitch there. Pull up a loop, pull through three. Insert your hook into the chain stitch, pull up, chain one, pull through three. All right, so let's repeat this, and you'll work this for as many stitches as called for in the pattern. Today, since we're just showing you how to do the actual stitch pattern, I'm only going to do a few stitches. I'm not going to worry about doing a whole lot of them. Now, we're going to just let this dangle. You can put a stitch marker in this if you would like. You don't have to. It's totally up to you, but we just don't want this pulling out. I'm pretty confident that I don't need a stitch marker, so I'm just going to let it hang there. And then we're going to grab our next yarn. To start with our second color, we're going to make a slip knot and put it on our hook. And then we're going to join into our very first stitch. So we're going to find our first stitch and we'll join into that stitch with a slip stitch. Okay. Then we're going to chain one. That does not count as a stitch here or throughout. And we're going to half double crochet into that first stitch. All right. Now, working across, we're going to work what's called a back post half double crochet. To do that, we need to first kind of identify where the stitches are. So it's important to know that when you're working a right side row, your stitches are all going to sit slightly to the left. So here's my next stitch that I would go into at the top. The stitch I'm going to work the post around is slightly to the left. So it's right there at the bottom. So here's my stitch that I would work into. The post is slightly to the left, just below it, okay? So we yarn over, we find that next stitch, and we work a back post by going just behind it. So I'm going to be careful and go behind that stitch, right? I yarn over and pull up a loop, just like I would a half double crochet. So now I have 3 loops on my hook. I yarn over and I pull through 3. Yarn over, and again, we're going to go from back to front to back, pull up a loop, have 3 loops on my hook, pull through 3. And we repeat that all the way across. Now you can already tell just by doing these few stitches that it looks a little crazy because the purple, which is the super bulky, looks a lot thicker, right? It looks thicker than it feels because remember, it's essentially just this thin thread, and I can even pull it apart and we just have a thread there, and this is all fluffy. So keep that in mind. I would not recommend that you try this with a super bulky yarn and a worsted weight yarn. I would only do this if you were using one of these fuzzier yarns, okay? So we're going to work all the way across. And then we're going to find our very last, second to last stitch. So when we get to the end, we have our last half double crochet, which is right here, and our second to last. We'll work a post around our second to last. Then when you get to your last stitch, what I want you to do is yarn over, insert your hook as if you're going to work a regular half double crochet and pull up a loop. So you'll have 3 loops of color B on there, okay? Then drop your color B and grab that loop and put it on your hook, okay? Now grab your color A and just pull that loop nice and tight, and then pull that loop that you just placed of color A through the 3 loops of color B. So now we don't have, I'm gonna pull this nice and make sure all those stitches are sitting good, but now we don't have any loose loops at the end. And we picked up that loose loop that was just kind of hanging out there. All right, so now you can see we have 1 full row of those really cool knit stitches. And then on the back, we have a row of our back post half double crochets. We'll half double crochet into the first stitch, and then we're going to work a back post double crochet into each stitch across, just like we did before. So we're going to back post half double crochet in each stitch across. We're just going to keep doing that back post half double crochet just like we did, and going around the stitches. Now I know sometimes it can be weird because you're like, where are those stitches? Just do what I'm doing and, you know, spread the work apart. So I yarn over, see how I'm just rearranging the stitches, looking for the holes where my hook can go. There we go. And now I'm at the end. And sometimes with these rows of the color B, because they're so fuzzy, I just like to make sure I'm good. So what I do is I'll recount and just go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So I know I had 12 stitches. I got 11. My last stitch is just going to be a half double crochet. Perfect. So now, again, I'm going to drop a loop, just leave it there to hang out. And now I'm going to come back to the beginning of my row and pick up color B. So for this, we're going to insert our hook into that first stitch, and we're going to pull up a loop, okay? Now we'll chain 1, and we're going to keep that wrong side facing, and we'll half double crochet into that first stitch. Now what we're going to do is, as we're working across, we're going to switch it up, and instead of working a back post half double crochet, we're going to work a front post half double crochet. So to do that, we're going to yarn over and insert our hook from front to back and then back to front. So just like that, okay? We pull up a loop and pull through 3. Again, yarn over, and we go from right to left, and we just bump that to the front. And we're just going to go and do that all the way across. So the secret to this stitch pattern is just about where to place those post stitches, and that's what is going to give you the reversible look. And then you'll see what I've gone and done, which is why you should probably use a stitch marker and not be like me and think that I can do it right, because I've pulled out a few of those stitches. So if this happens, here's what we're going to do. We are just going to find out where we ended, which for me was a half double crochet. And then I am just going to make sure that That's off to the side and we're good. Use a stitch marker, do as I say, not as I do, as my mom used to say. Okay, so now another front post. And then in the very last stitch, I'm going to insert my hook into that stitch and pull up a loop. And then just like we did on the previous row, we're going to slip that hook or slip that yarn back on our hook and then pull through. Okay. And then we chain one to kind of like seal it all off. And again, it can be hard to see your stitches, but we go based on the posts. So there's my first half double crochet, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and my last half double crochet. So you'll always have a half double at the beginning and the end, and your post stitches in the middle, right? Now on the back, it's a little bit easier to see. You can see that we still got all those knit stitches, and we got, you know, fluffiness on one side. We got just plain kind of vertical rows of knits on the other, which is exactly what we want. Now at the end of this row, we turn our work. So now we're on row 4. I'm just managing my stitches a little bit. I like to do this after the rows, just kind of sorting them out, pulling them up. The mohairish yarn is a little sticky, so this kind of helps everything just sit where it needs to sit. I like to tug at it, make sure we're good. Just helps everything look a little bit better. You will notice that your edge here isn't as pretty as it could be. That's totally normal. That will even out eventually, and we're going to cover it up with some single crochets after our work is completed. So now on row 4, we have a right side row. What we're going to do here is chain 1 and then half double crochet in the first stitch. Now, what we want is, again, we want to make sure that our color A is popping towards the front. So the easiest way to do that, especially when the right side is facing, is for a front post. So with the front facing, we work a front post. So we're just going to work front post half doubles in each stitch all the way across. So row 4, we do front post. And then when we get to the end, we'll work our half double. And like I said, sometimes it can be hard to see with the mohairish yarn. So we're gonna use the tip of our hook to get into and underneath the 2 parts of those stitches, right where we want. Get it through, pull it up, half double. And then again, we're going to leave a long loop and then go back to the beginning of the row with the same right side facing. Again, we're going to insert our hook into the very first stitch and pull up a loop. Then we'll chain 1. We're going to half double crochet into that same stitch. Now, because we still want our color A to be front facing, we need to make sure that it does. So with color B, we're going to work a back post. So we'll work a back post. And you can see as we work that back post, it kind of just forces the top of that stitch down, and it gives you that knit like stitch, which is exactly what we want. I'm just going to move that loop out of the way. When we get to the last stitch, we're just going to work a half double. But remember, once we have those 3 loops on our hook of color B, we're going to drop it. We're going to put our loop of color A on our hook, pick up color A, tighten it, and then draw color A through that color B. Then we'll chain 1 and turn our work so the wrong side is facing. Okay, so for row 6, we have our wrong side facing. I've already chained 1 and worked my half double crochet. We're going to work back post double crochets all the way across. All right, and then we get to the very last stitch, and we're going to insert our hook, pull up a loop, and pull through 3. Okay, so there is our half double crochet stitch. So again, anchoring with a half double crochet at the beginning and end, and we have our 10 back post stitches in the middle. Now again, we don't break our yarn. We just draw a loop, pull it to the end. Now, technically, this is where we begin our next repeat. Our repeat for this pattern is 4 rows. So it's rows 3 through 6 in our pattern. And what we do is, again, we work a half double crochet in the first stitch, and then we would work front post stitches with color B all the way across. And then in the last stitch, we yarn over, insert that hook into our half double crochet, put that loop on the hook, and then we pull through 3 loops, okay? Then we chain 1 and we turn. Now we have our right side facing again. For this, with color A, we work a half double into our first stitch. Then we're going to work front post all the way across. In the last stitch, we work our half double crochet, we pull up a loop, and we leave it there. For our next row, which in our repeat would be a row 5, with the right side facing, we're going to yarn over and half double crochet into our first stitch, which is right here. And then we're going to work our back post all the way across. And then when we get to the end of our row, again, I'm going to work that half double crochet stitch, put the yarn on our hook, pull through all 3 loops, and chain 1. Then we flip, and now we're on the wrong side. So for our wrong side, for this row, it would be a row 6. We're going to chain 1, which we've done, half double crochet into that first stitch, and then we're going to back post double crochet in each stitch across. So that's the full pattern repeat. It's a row of front post, a row of front post, a row of back post, a row of back post. And we're working 2 right side rows, 2 wrong side rows. And you essentially just keep repeating that until you have the length of, or the width, I should say, of blanket that you would like. There are a lot of different ways to kind of make the stitch pattern work for you, kind of design with it. It's a really, really cool, creative, engaging, amazing way of just using this simple half double crochet post stitch. I just think it's so cool. Like the fact that this is one side and this is another side and it's the same crochet. I think it would look really cool to do a hat and have this on the outside and then something super soft on the inside, like a faux fur yarn to make it super warm and fluffy. I love it. The possibilities are endless. So, well, friends, that is it for today. I hope you enjoyed making this beautiful, lovely brioche stitch crochet pattern. I can't wait to see what you make with it. I have so many ideas. I actually have another pattern coming out using this stitch, but in a different way that I'll be sharing with you soon. So be on the lookout for that. But until next time, remember all the links for everything you need are down below. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. And until next time, happy stitching, friends. I'll talk to you soon. Bye, guys.